been a massive challenge because you have to adapt to the environment, you have to adapt to the culture, you have to adapt to the level of football development. You've got to be a really flexible person, and as a result of that, I've become a lot more experienced in adapting to other different environments. I had to get out. There was cars floating down the street, there was scooters doing 360s floating down the road. There was a guy the day later and he was in a kayak going down the main road. You accept when you go into the game and you want to create a career for yourself that you're going to commit a number of hours to the game. That's just a given.
Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Coach Gerald Lami podcast, where we dive into the minds of some incredible individuals in the sports and football industry. Today, my special guest is someone with tons of knowledge when it comes to the football community, and I'm sure we'll unravel his insight, his experiences, and hopefully he can share some of his journey with us. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Technical Director of Samoa Football Federation, Jess Ibrom, to the podcast. Jess, welcome, mate. Thank you very much for taking your time out and joining us on the podcast.
No, thank you, Gerald. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. Just looking forward to sharing some of my experiences and looking forward to getting into it, to be honest, mate. It'd be good.
No, likewise. And speaking about experiences, like I said to you off air, I had to do my research, of course, on your background and everything like that. You've worked with, the likes of Chelsea, Wellington Phoenix, Houston Dynamos, technical director of the Cook Islands, coach educator. The list goes on, mate. I can go on and on and on of what you've done. Even in terms of like developing yourself, you've visited over 50 clubs around the world. It's not easy to do that. Money-wise, it's definitely a pocket burner to be traveling around. But also just in terms of your education, that you've traveled around in different continents to actually coach and do something that you love doing. How do you stay motivated and stay hungry to keep going? Because you've already, in my eyes, that's something that I would love to be doing, coaching abroad in different various countries. And then, how do you keep motivated? Because it can easily just feel like, I've done enough in terms of my career. Yeah, how do you stay afloat?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Again, I've been very fortunate in recent years to go on this journey. Never in a million years did I anticipate when I left the UK for good in April 2011, I'd go on this journey of wherever I've gone. Mm-hmm. And you find that with football, you have to go where the opportunities are. It's very much peaks and troughs. I mean, there is some tough times when you're in a different country like yourself. You have to experience different cultures, different levels of football development. I guess I think for me is that I am quite a driven, ambitious individual. I like every opportunity I see to sort of maximize my own individual learning. It's not easy, this part of the world, if I'm being honest, because you're quite limited in terms of sort of high performance environments and professional environments. You take it for granted. When you're in the UK, I mean, you can get on, obviously at the moment it's obviously tough, but in a normal world, you can just get on the motorway and you can go to any number of different professional clubs. And that's something I've really enjoyed doing as well, is going into lots of different environments, seeing how they work, seeing how different coaches work. Because again, I think in football, I'm certainly not arrogant enough to think that, I have all the answers to everything. Yeah, I'm always continually learning. Yeah. Even today, this will be a good learning experience for me as well, mate.
No, for sure. Likewise for myself, definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, over 50 clubs that you visited, the likes of Barcelona, Juventus, Man City. What do you get out of going to these clubs, and what was the most, or should I say, what has been the best or valuable experience that you've had since you've been able to visit these clubs?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in the UK, I was part of a football club, a semi-professional club, and we would organise a lot of different tours around Europe, some of those clubs you've mentioned, and then that sort of initiated a bit of a spark and a bug with me to realise that it would be really good for me to go into these environments and just learn off people that have got more knowledge and expertise than me. And so a lot of my experiences when I've gone into these professional clubs are really, it's cold calling, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I've been fortunate through the different roles I've had. I've been able to go into clubs that I wouldn't usually be able to go in. And like yourself, yeah, you develop networks, you develop relationships with good people, and that opens the door as well. But for me, like when I've gone into these clubs, I've always seen it as a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And although I've been fortunate to spend time at Chelsea and some of the other clubs you mentioned, I've also been fortunate to go in clubs like Rotherham United and Sheffield United and other clubs like League Two clubs. And that has just been just as valuable for me to see how these clubs operate, the culture, the academy philosophies, the direction which they want to drive youth development in those clubs has been outstanding. And just the opportunity to meet some incredible people along the way as well.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%. And yeah, just thinking for anyone that, a young coach that's coming up, when they hear the term, a study visit, like what does that mean? And how do you actually get on a study visit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, back in the day, I guess there was two different ways in which we do it. I'd go as like a Pacific coach tour to a club, or if I went in cold, like I did like I have done for a large portion of the time, is that I would go in with an intention in terms of what am I going to get out of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the only time, but I'm able to go into this club and see the inner workings of a top professional club, all the staff work. And for me, that's just been invaluable. So I've taken it upon myself to really structure a whole timeline leading up to going into the club, as well as me sort of, I wouldn't call it an assessment. I'd just call it, an insightful piece for me to, take notes, look at coaches' work, pick mannerisms of coaches up, just all manner of different things, really.
Mm-hmm.
But for younger coaches, I can't recommend that highly enough, because although, as you mentioned, a number of professional clubs have gone into, a large portion of those were just literally knocking on the door,
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, people, 9 times out of 10 are very friendly to, be accommodating and let you in, and, because they want to show the work that they're doing as well.
Yeah. No, definitely 100%. And yeah, it's incredible. Again, just going through the work that you've been doing and the fact that you stepped out your comfort zone, that's again very admirable, and that's something that I can relate to, because at first it's not an easy transition to do, like you said earlier on. And I think a lot of people think, once you go abroad, it's like you're going to live the high life. You might be in a nice country, it's nice and hot, but they don't realize, it's the same work that you'll be doing over here that you're doing over there. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it might be even more difficult because you're not aware of your surroundings. You have to kind of prove yourself to new people. What made you say, you know what? I know you touched on it earlier on in terms of lack of opportunities, which I agree with you in terms of the UK. But what was the tipping point for you to say, you know what? I'm actually going to go. I'm actually going to try something new.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I had an experienced coach in the US for about 5 years. Then I came out to the UK, done a 6-year stint, part of a really good semi-professional club. We were part of developing a really strong youth development program. And I really got to the point where where do I see myself career going? I had a very stable, secure position, in all honesty. But I just had my own individual ambitions. And I'll be honest, it took me probably 2 years to actually get to the point of getting a role abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was applying nonstop, all over the globe, sending out my CV, contacting people, trying to network, trying to create an opportunity. And then fortunately, 2 positions come up within a couple of weeks. One was in Canada and this one was in New Zealand. And then as a result of that, I took the New Zealand one. Since I've come out here and worked in the different countries, as you mentioned, it's been a massive challenge, because you have to adapt to the environment, you have to adapt to the culture, you have to adapt to the level of football development. And regardless what anybody says, it's not Europe, and it never will be Europe, unfortunately, certainly for the regions that I've worked in anyway. So you've got to be a really flexible person. And as a result of that, I think I've become a lot more experienced in adapting to other different environments. And that's certainly helping me in my current role as well.
Mm-hmm. And when you was applying for these positions, was you doing any research on the clubs, or you were just sending out the CVs?
I do a lot of research, yeah,
Okay.
in terms of the people who, who are the go-to people to contact, but it's highly competitive, the football industry, as
Mm,
you know, yeah, and then
yeah.
probably even more so now when we move out of this situation with COVID, is that it's just a very competitive industry, and there's a lot of coaches that are seeking opportunities abroad, but from the outside, it might look fantastic. You're in a
Yeah.
beautiful country and whatever else, but I can tell you, reality to perception are two different things, and there's still challenges here, like it would be in challenges in the club in the UK as well.
No, for sure. And speaking of COVID, how has this moment been for you in terms of just, with everything that's going on? Have you adapted well to it, or has it been challenging for yourself?
I've actually been very fortunate. We're in New Zealand.
Hmm.
It's only 5 million people. It's the size of the UK. It's been relatively easy to shut down the country. So the government have been outstanding in that respect. For me, on a personal level, I've just used the opportunity to connect like today,
Yeah,
which is a
yeah.
great experience for me, connect with new people, reconnect with people I haven't spoken to for a while, invest in myself,
Hmm.
potentially line up courses, do courses online. So that's just using the time as an opportunity, as well as positioning things for my current role as well, in terms of programs and making sure we're aligned to, what OFC and FIFA require as well.
No, it's amazing, amazing. Definitely. A lot of people, obviously, it's been challenging for all of us, but like you said, it's really important that, we are able to keep going in terms of the online resources, connecting, even things like this, the podcast. When I first initially started, it was just to keep me busy, but also to show young people that are coming through the game that, if you don't make it as a professional footballer, there is different avenues that you can go down, coaching, physiotherapy, down the media route. So it's not the end of the dream. I know we all want to be footballers. We want the limelight. And sometimes people behind the scene are probably just as important, but they won't get the limelight. For you, where did the love come from, be going into coaching or managing?
Yeah, I think you've already said it, but I was in the UK. You have always aspirations that you're going to be a professional
Yeah.
footballer. You quickly realise that, well, we're just not good enough. There's too much
Yeah.
competition as well.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So I went out to the US actually all by chance. A friend
Mm-hmm.
got me out there like a summer camp
Mm-hmm.
early. Oh, it was 2099, 1990. Yeah, a long time ago. And just went over there for
Showing your age there, Jess.
Oh yeah, I know. That's a couple of decades, that is. But yeah, I just went out there for a summer, and it was all by chance. A friend recommended to go out and coach in summer camps and stuff like
Mm,
that. The best experience, I've had, and it really initiated this, it's deep line passion. It's like, well, you know what? The next best thing to not being a footballer
mm,
is working in the game as a coach, and that just started the journey for me. And from that moment on, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I quickly realized as well is that you're exposed to a great country and in culture and experiences like you are in the US, and you realize, you know what, you can actually make a career out of this.
yeah.
If you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to put the hours in, you can actually make a good career out of it. So that's what touched it for me. And then, the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And you went there quite early in terms of in America, where football or soccer, as they call it, of there, wasn't as big as it is at the moment over there, as it's growing a lot. What was that like in terms of the challenges that you faced, and adapting again to America? And there's certain terms that they use when it comes to football, which you're like, yeah, we wouldn't use that in the UK. What was that like for you?
It was a new, unique experience. I mean, yeah, like you've said, the MLS wasn't anywhere near developed as what it is now. I mean,
Mm,
it's an ever growing league with franchises popping up every other year. When I went there, it was you just go into experiences that are just you just wouldn't be exposed to if you was
yeah.
in the UK. Different environments. You're coaching, on a baseball pitch with 40 kids or whatever, and you
Yeah.
just have to adapt. You just have to go with it, and you actually end up adapting really, really well to it.
Mm,
But just the people you meet as well. The culture in the US is very much a can do culture to everything.
Yeah.
You know, we've got strong expectations on their kids going well in life, and you know, you can help with that process as well. And so for me, it was incredible. Really, really was. Highly recommend it to coaches to go and have that experience, whether it's the US or somewhere else. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Likewise, you know, even my experience coaching abroad, and it definitely opens your mind to a different perspective, and it helps you as a person, not just as a coach. It helps you as a person, and I think first and foremost, that's the vital part is, you know, how are you as a person that will reflect onto, you know, your work. But yeah, something that, you know, I'm always intrigued about, because there's always stories behind the scene that, you know, people never really speak about as much, you know. What stories do you have in terms of, you know, anything that's pops into your mind right now that you think, you know what, that was a bit bizarre before, something that the listeners might not know about, because again, people just think it's all, you know, glamorous and, you know, everything's fine as a coach when you're coaching abroad. Is there anything that's happened to you along the journey, which I'm sure there has been? You know, you've traveled quite a few places that you know, you think, you know what, I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, I'd probably say that. I mean, I've been fortunate, to have some phenomenal experiences and not so phenomenal
Yeah.
experiences when I was in Mexico, and I was actually traveling around the country recruiting at the time, and I was in the southern part of Mexico, and I'd been doing some clinics or something in the daytime, and went back to my hotel
Mhm.
and woke up and flicked the light on, and I'm not even exaggerating. The whole room was completely flooded, and there was like
What?
I didn't even. The first thing I was thinking was, you know, where's my laptop and where's my suitcase and clothes? Fortunately, I had them on the bed, but the whole place where I was staying was completely flooded. Opened the door, and there was just water gushing in, and it turned out to be the worst tropical storm that
Wow.
part of Mexico had ever had. And it went on for like 10 days, complete blackout. It was a tourist town where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get out. There was cars floating down the street. There was scooters doing 360s floating down
Wow.
the road. There was a guy the day later, and he was in a kayak going down the main road, to give you an idea how much rain we've been having. So that was an interesting experience, because you're in a completely different country.
Yeah.
You haven't got your family there. You haven't got anyone there. You by yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate. I had a good couple of local contacts, and one took
Mm-hmm.
me under his wing and took me into his place. But that was a worrying moment. There's been a few others
Wow.
as well, but that was a bit of a challenge that day.
Wow. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The glamorous life of being a
Yeah,
coach.
yeah. No, it wasn't like it. I'll tell you that for that week.
Definitely. Look, and you spoke about family, which is something that, you know, I hold in high regards. And as a coach, you're very much indulged into your work, especially if you're a technical director or a head coach or anything like that. Your life is consumed around football 24/7, which sometimes can get in the way. Not sometimes, it does get in the way, you know, with family time and, you know, maybe with kids and things like that. How do you find the balance of, you know, of both, you know, family and work together?
Indulging is a good word, actually.
Yeah.
I should remember that. But no, I agree. It's been it's tough, because you have to really put some strong boundaries in place. Like
Mm,
I've had, like yourself, lots of different roles, and I just come off a role where I was in the New Zealand National League,
yeah.
and that was all consuming. All consuming. You have to be available 24/7 to anyone within the club, players within the club, everybody. And that was a huge challenge. And I think as a result of that, you know, it impacts on your home life, it impacts on
Mm,
your family time and everything like that. And I quickly realized, look, you know, this is, you accept when you go into the game and you want to create a career for yourself, that you're going to commit a number of hours to the game. That's just a given.
mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to have phone calls and Zooms at unconventional hours. That's a given. But I think it's just being as strong as you can to put boundaries in place so you can get a greater balance.
Yeah.
And I always work off the quality of the work rather than the quantity now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I've got that through more experience rather than, you know, committing to a number of meetings, whereas, you know, it could go on for 2-3 hours or whatever, and condensing it and just having something that might not happen as regular as what it would. And I work off that now. I work off,
Mm-hmm.
really focusing on the quality of whatever meeting, the quality of, having a team meeting, a player meeting, whatever it might well be, rather than just stretching yourself, because it does, you're right. It just impacts too much. And then as a result, then you get to the point you don't enjoy the game as much as what you did when you first got into the game, that passion.
No, for sure. And who would have thought, Zoom meetings will be part of the discussion in 2021 as a coach or as a football manager, which is bizarre.
I wish I would have. Yeah, I wish I would have had shares in Zoom.
Exactly. For sure. Now, you know what? I don't want to just, because it feels like I'm skipping past, so much that you've done. What would you say is the most proudest moment? Because you've done so much. Again, you've rubbed shoulders with so many great managers, from your study visits, and like you said, not just the top clubs, but clubs like Rotherham, like you said, they're well run, etc. What would you say is the most proudest moment of your career so far?
Difficult one now. I'd probably say gaining my coaching licenses, not just in the UK, but also the US.
Okay.
And that, in the US, was as an experience to go through a completely different coach education framework. For me, I got just as much value out of it as a different experience going through the the A license in the UK. They were really a real sense of achievement, because it's a culmination, as you know, of a lot of work to get to that point. And again, there's other experiences where I've been fortunate to, I'll give you an example. I was 2018, I went and had a study visit in Mexico, and I was with a club called Pachuca. I was there for about 7 weeks, and the club were fantastic. I always wanted to visit the club. I had a connection because I recruited a player, and he ended up back at the club. And the last day, I'll never forget it, the sporting director got me in and took me into the changing room. They were playing Tigres, top Mexican club. I was in the changing room with everybody. I was in the circle with the players, with the staff, the president. They won the game on penalties, so I told them I was a bit of a lucky charm for that game.
Good luck to them, yeah?
Because I left the next day, and then I think they think I got knocked out the next round. But no, they presented me with a shirt, and I was fortunate. The next day, I presented to all the academy staff, like, how my study visit to them. I'd done it in Spanish, and that was all right. I had a translator, so
okay.
I'm not taking
I was
their
going to
credit
say,
too much.
Yeah, all right.
Even though it's on the to-do list, but that was just phenomenal experiences, mate. Phenomenal experiences.
Incredible. That is amazing. Definitely, amazing stuff. But you spoke about doing your courses in America as well. What would you say is the difference between the education with the American Federation compared to the UK?
I'd just say that coaches in the US just aren't exposed to the level of football that coaches are in Europe, the level of expertise from the coach educators. I was fortunate; I had an outstanding coach educator. He did my B license US and my A license. He was outstanding, but it's just completely different environments, completely different working professional environments. Still, the US is playing catch up in that regards, even though they're making fantastic. The way they model their franchises and the community, youth, academy, first team engagement is absolutely outstanding. But very different. I felt that the English FA one was high expectation, obviously, because it should. It's the highest qualification other than the pro license. I done it with Dick Bate, the late coach educator, who was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I've never worked with someone like that. He done an hour and a half on just working on the wide midfielder session. Wow. And I'm not even exaggerating, it was an hour and a half of pure engagement by the coaches that were on the course.
Very detailed.
It was brilliant. Absolutely amazing. Brilliant.
No, definitely, never had the privilege to come across him, but always heard great things about him, and just the great work that he's done, and obviously it's followed his legacy till now, so incredible stuff. What would you say is your most ideal position or job role for you? Because you've dwelled in so many different positions. What would you say suits you the most, and your strengths?
Yes, I'd probably say for me, it's more in sort of technical leadership positions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fortunate now, I'm in a technical director role, academy director role, with a bit of coaching if you can within that role. If it's an academy director, stroke under 18 head coach or under 23, or technical director like myself, because then I feel like with my experience that I can influence, I can
Mm-hmm.
position programs and people and align and things like that. That's what I'm really enjoying most at this moment in time. But again, you've got to have strong buy-in from
Yeah.
the club or the federation. That goes without saying as well, really. But at the moment, these sort of roles, technical leadership roles, that's what I'm enjoying the most.
Mm-hmm. No, amazing. And also, for the young listeners or even coaches in general, not even the young coaches, the ones that are listening, how do they get themselves in a position that you're in? Because I know it's easy to say hard work, you keep working, keep networking and things like that. That's the generic, answers that we always get from everyone. But in your opinion, how do you feel you've got to the position that you're in now?
Yeah, I think I'm quite a forward-thinking person. Um, yeah, quite driven in that respect. There's a couple of pieces I've learned from a couple of people. So Dick Bate
Yeah.
was a prime one, and I remember when this is over 10 years ago when he was doing a presentation, and it was, if as a coach, if you don't understand your pathway, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to understand where you're going to be going.
Mm-hmm.
So he's come up with a coach education pathway, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might well be. Even if you don't get to that point, whatever year it might well be, but certainly having an understanding of your own individual coach pathway, get any coaching qualifications, especially if you want to access positions abroad, because now there's a certain level of expectation in regards to that. And a good quote I heard from somebody once, a Canadian coach, he said there's exactly the same as a player. As a player, they're always under a contract, and you sign the contract, you get settled in for a period of time, and then probably 6 months before the end of the contract, you're looking for your next contract, whether it's where you currently are, you're looking for somewhere else. So it's really understanding where you want to position yourself in the market and starting that process at a lot earlier point. I'd certainly recommend looking to develop as big a profile as yourself, certainly if you haven't come from a strong playing background, if you've played at a really, really high level. But and now you've got any manner of different avenues you can go down to enhance your CV, your profile and your CV, which I've done as well, and I'm continually doing it, and just then developing your network, connecting with people, developing relationships, in regions that you want to work in.
No, I love that. And just speaking to you now, you're very detailed in your approach as well with what you're doing. To get to a technical director role, anyway, you have to be really detailed because you're overseeing a lot of the academy project, operations. Where did that mindset come from, and was that from your upbringing? Where did that stem from? Where was the roots from that?
It was actually when I was in the UK, and I'd just come back from the US, and I remember going into a community football program, and there was a good coach, mentor there, Paul Hunt, his name was, and I'd really come under his wing for about three years, and I'd done everything, in terms of as you do, you wash the kit, you lay the cones out, you just immerse yourself in the environment. And I learned a tremendous amount from him in terms of just being very detailed and practical to your work, disciplined in the approach, but while keeping hold of your strong beliefs and principles as well, which I think is important. But and that's sort of grown as I've gone into each position. I am very detailed. I'm very in the way in which I work, probably too much sometimes. But that's not to say when you do go to all these different countries like yourself, you got to adapt and you've got to be flexible as well, but still keeping hold of your own personal beliefs and principles as well.
And do you think that develops over time and changes?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Would you say it's changed for you over time?
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, you know, I left the UK, and probably when I left, I know the game has changed a tremendous amount. It's made, you know, massive strides in terms of
Yeah.
everything, really: coach education, national team performances, and national stage, all of those things. But for me, I was quite rigid in my thinking, quite rigid in the structure and way in which I see how my teams want to operate and play.
Yeah.
But you quickly realised that, very, very quickly realised that if you want to have these roles abroad, certainly in this region I'm currently in, you got to adapt, and you got to adapt very, very quickly, because if you don't, then you're not going to last very long.
No,
Because
for
at the end, I always say that, like I was talking to someone about the Cook Islands when I was there, I was merely a blip
Yeah.
in Cook Island football history. You know, I was just a piece in their whole history. You know, and those people are going to outlive you in the role. They're going to be there longer than you. So you've got to adapt while you're there, but try and impact as best you can.
No, for sure. It's definitely, I can relate to that as well, you know, coaching in Oman, where at first it was like, yeah, this is completely different. They're not, you know, they're not exposed to the football that we're used to in the UK. And it's like, you try to come with different ideas. Some people get it, some people don't get it. And it's like, you have to kind of meet down the middle. And like you said, still having your beliefs and not kind of, you know, just going against the grain sometimes. You don't want to do that also. But you know, it's definitely a challenge, and something that I'll definitely recommend. I'm sure you recommend as well, you know, for coaches to go and try something different. Now, Samoa, you know, to me, that's like a holiday destination. I would love to go there. That's a honeymoon destination. What is the football like in Samoa? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, we actually outperform rugby in
Okay.
Samoa. And you know, when people think Samoa and they think sport, they probably think rugby first. But in terms of actual general participation, we're way beyond what rugby is in Samoa in that respect. Certainly at the grassroots level, we've got a strong federation. There's 2 islands in Samoa, and our federation is on the main island, Apollo, in Apia, the main township there, and a number of clubs, both islands. We've got a strong set of staff. We've got fantastic facilities. If I'm comparing in terms of the region, our main facility, I think we've got 3-4 pitches, lecture room, and then we're actually going in a process now of building another facility with international standard pitch, offices attached, all those different things. To be honest, Samoa has been a bit of a sleeping giant for a number of years, and it's never hit the levels that it should hit in terms of the potential it has within the game. And I guess that's my job and my responsibility to try and drive that. But massive potential, massive potential, but have never performed at the international level that they should do. So what I'm trying to do at this moment in time is position programs and people, obviously, even though we're in this pandemic, so that when we do move out of it, we're going to be in a stronger position, you know, just in things like recruitment, scouting, things like that. And just trying to be as creative as possible to impact. But a lot of the countries within this region, massive amount of potential, huge.
And what's the facilities like over there?
Yeah, so we've got, I should have sent you some pictures before. I will after the call. And yeah, I mean, fairly typical of an island nation, but we've got offices, main pitch, which, you know, we could play international football on it, which you have done. We host 17s, 20s tournaments, Pacific Games 2019. Then we've got 2 more pitches that join that, full lecture room. And then our other island, Savati, we've got, you know, made pitches, futsal, an office lecture room. And we've also now, because we're in this pandemic, we've also got 2 big touchscreen TVs for each island. So then I can have online workshops, online guest presentations to coaches and things like that. So just trying to work out ways we can still impact, you know, the work that's going on in over there as well.
Amazing. Make sure you got a spare room there for me, Jess, because I'll be coming over soon.
No worries. We're getting nice place on the beach. It's all good. It's all fine.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. Do you perform better under pressure? Because you seem like someone that you thrive under pressure.
Yeah. I probably do, in all honesty. Certainly last year when I was with Tasman United National League franchise, and we were playing catch up from the get go in terms of recruitment, everything. Heavily unresourced club in comparison to some of the other National League franchises. We did end up achieving a level of strong success. We ended up rolling 3 out of the top 4 clubs. And if people want to know pressure in terms of, and this is just New Zealand National League, so I can't even imagine what it must be like for the top coaches in the world like Mourinho and Klopp and those guys, because I'll tell you what, I would be on the side and I would go through 8 bottles of water, minimum, average. And it was like an anxiety thing, because you're completely immersed in the game. You're completely, you're watching the clock. You're hoping you're winning 1-0 and you're hoping that, the ref isn't going to put up too much injury time and things like that. You're doing everything to slow the game down.
You're not in control, are you, in those situations?
You're not. And it's, you've got the trust of the players, but it was pressure, but post that, the relief, I mean, I felt physically and mentally exhausted after a game like that, because you want to do well. That's just a natural trait as a coach and a player. You want to win games. I don't care what anyone says. You want to go out there.
Of course.
Certainly at National League level, you want to win a game of football. And it means a lot, because you just put so much work leading up to the fixture, but a lot of pressure, probably a lot of pressure that you put on yourself as well. But that's why I've got short hair now, because of all the grey hairs. That
Still got the hairline there, mate. That's the most important part. Would you do it again? Would you get back into like that sort of role?
I would, potentially in the future, but I would have to have greater support in terms of resources, staff resources, because that does make a difference. It really, really does. And although from the outside, people are, you're head coach, director of football, and National League franchise, games on Sky Sport and things like that, I can tell you, I was washing bibs. I was down there, an hour and a half before the session, filling up drinks bottles, things like that. And they're the things that people don't see. You do it because you want to do well and you want the players to do well. And fortunately, I had a great group of, players that, they done beyond what we should have done in the end, which is great.
No, incredible. Listen, Jess, before you go off and drink your pina colada in the sun,
no chance.
No, I know you're busy. You told me you're busy. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Again, someone like yourself has a plan. Where do you see the future of yourself?
Good question. I mean, if you were to ask me, where do I see myself in a year from now and a year ago, I was, exploring, looking. I wouldn't have anticipated Samoa, really. I think for me is a role similar to the role that I'm currently in. I hope it's with Samoa, because I firmly believe if you give longevity to a role, then you're gonna maximize the potential of the work while you're in that role. And also, I'm a big believer in being in the right environments with good people, and that's what I'm going to be continually striving for. Being in a good, good professional structured environment with good people that generally want to make a difference to the game in the role that we're working in. So for me, that's my aspiration, really. A bit hard for me to say in terms of, ideally I'd love to be, at this club or this club, but it's going to be a competitive world out there, that's for sure.
No, for sure. You never know with football. You never know where you might end up. And something that you spoke about in terms of, exploring and things like that. I think did you take out a break from coaching and football and things like that?
Yeah, I took some time out and just really used that time to invest in myself. I didn't just go into football environments. I went into different sporting codes as well. Okay. So rugby here in New Zealand, cricket, netball, just looking at different performance environments. And, there could be something you pull from that environment that's going to enhance your next role, wherever you're going to go into.
No, for
and
sure.
I've been unfortunate in New Zealand. People are really open. People are really open for you going into, those environments as well.
How long was you away from work when you was doing that?
It's probably about a year in the end. So I went to Europe. went to a whole, probably 5-6 countries, went to Mexico. And then I'd done a bit of coach education work on the side as well, which was great because I just wanted to get more experience in the coach education side of it. So I spent some good time with some, good top coach educators in New Zealand football. And that, as an area of it, I wanted to enhance my own individual learning as well.
No, amazing. Do you know what? This is more so for me as some advice to me, to be honest with you, because I'm in that space now where I'm kind of exploring what next position that I want to get into, whether it will be what, similar role that I did before in terms of head coaching or, overseeing a project, or just doing something completely different. I'm not too sure exactly, but I do know it's going to be around that sort of field, in the coaching field. Yeah, that exploring phase, it's like a gray area. Not too, because you're keeping busy anyway, like myself, I'm keeping busy, connecting with people, studying and things like that. Where was you mentally during that time, that exploring stage? Was it difficult? Was it a thing where you knew you was going to go straight back into football? Because a year is pretty quick, to be honest with you, in my opinion. There's been people that's been out for many years and find it difficult to get back into the game. Where was you at mentally during that time?
Yeah, you go through this journey of peaks and troughs, really. I guess I wasn't, and I'm quite proud of myself in this effect, I wasn't really ready or willing just to take a role, just to go back into the game. And again, I'm not, you're not the caliber of people like Mourinho where you can choose and whatever else.
Exactly.
But, I wasn't willing to do that. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be out of the game for a period of time, I'm going to invest in my health a lot more. I'm going to invest in my learning a lot more. And I'm really going to do as much as I can to develop my individual profile, which I've been fortunate to do, whether it's, on LinkedIn or social media or whatever. Connect with good people. I connect with Piero at Sports Career Agency. I'm going to drop it in because he does a fantastic job and he did for me as well. But I'll be honest, when you're in a role and you're immersed in a role, you don't have those opportunities to connect with those people who will help to develop your own profile and direction of the roles that you're specifically looking for. So for me, it was really understanding where I wanted to go next, but using the time, fortunately, to travel a little bit, which I was. But yeah, not just willing just to jump back into the game for the sake of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I've had a conversation with Peter as well. He's a great guy. And here's a little plug in Sports Agent Careers. For anyone out there that's looking for any job opportunities and things like that, great people over there, do check them out. Jess, honestly, mate, I can sit here and talk to you for a couple of hours. I know you're busy. I just want to round this off with a quick fire round question before we wrap things up. I think I know this one anyway. Favorite coach or coach educator that you've come across?
Favorite coach, Jose Mourinho. Favorite coach educator, Dick Bate.
Amazing. Can't argue with them ones there. Next one. Favorite player that you've come across?
I'm not going to say worked with this player, but I was fortunate. I watched Beckham train for about an hour and a half, and I was probably about 10 meters away from him, and it was the most incredible experience. He was actually in Tottenham at the time. He was on break from the Galaxy, and unbelievable, hardest working player on that day, and he was, beyond 30 at that point. That was incredible.
Amazing. He doesn't really get the credit that he deserves, does he?
No, he doesn't. But I don't know. I think he just he utilised something in his game, free kicks and crossing, and he just made it his own. But it's practice. Yeah, it's old cliche stuff. But he didn't get there by chance, did he?
No, for sure, 100%. Will we see Jess in Inter Miami anytime soon?
We'll see, mate. We'll see. It would be an incredible experience, but I don't know. I think it's a long way away, to be honest.
Nah, anything's possible. You know that already. Hardest moment of your career?
Hardest moment in my career? Probably about a year and a half ago when I was with Tasman in the National League. We were at Christmas time, went on a 2-week break. The National League did, and we were bottom of the league.
Wow.
And we'd won really one game. We won by an administrational error, but really we'd won one game out of 8, I think. Something like that, 7 or 8. That was tough. Because you were just working hard and you just weren't winning games of football. Then, don't know what happened. The boys needed a break, I guess, because afterwards, then we just went on an upward curve, and we got some amazing results and achieved a phenomenal placing for the club in the end. So that was great.
Incredible. I thought you were going to say about the hotel experience, flooding.
Oh yeah, no, that was one off. Yeah, I can even think of, to be honest. I'm sure there's others. Yeah,
for sure. 3 words to describe yourself as a coach.
Hardworking, driven, ambitious.
Okay. Last one. What's the best lesson that you've learned in the last 6 months?
In the last 6 months is...
Some meetings going on. There you go.
The last 6 months. I'd just say become more adaptable than what I was before, because I was going into a different environment, different people, different federation, different country. But it's quite interesting because a previous experience when I was in the Cook Islands has really held me in greater stead for this role now.
Amazing. Well, there you go, Jess. Honestly, amazing to speak to you. Again, we're going to have to do a part 2, maybe over there in Samoa with a drink in the sun.
Invite. You're painting this picture like it's
No, for sure. We'll definitely have to do something again. And honestly, again, I appreciate you just, sharing some of your journey, a little part of it. Again, I know there's so much that you can cover. I know you're busy at the moment as well. So again, I really appreciate you taking your time out and just speaking with us. And hopefully, I'm sure a lot of people, whoever's tuning in, have gained a lot of knowledge, more courage. Maybe if you're looking to go and coach abroad, definitely look into it. We've both done it ourselves, and definitely something that we'd recommend. And again, really appreciate it, Jess. Thank you. I wish you all the best for the future, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, likewise. Really enjoyed the opportunity today. I've been an avid follower. Just listening to you. I think Michael Hamilton, podcast with Wimbledon. So I just listened to that the other day. But again, I'm really appreciative of the opportunity, and I just say if it is coaches that are looking to make that jump abroad, then they can always flip a message to me, and I'm happy to support and help and guide in any way that I can. Really.
Brilliant. And people, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe this. If it brings value to you or to somebody else, please go ahead and share it. And Jess, again, thank you very much. Enjoy your day over there, and we'll speak soon.
Likewise. Thanks again, mate. Cheers.
Brilliant.